Welcome back to the channel, Fat Boys. Today, I have some questions for my parents. So welcome the parents.
Welcome, son.
Hello.
I'm going to be asking them questions about how I started writing and how it made them feel. So maybe you can actually show this to your parents and see how it makes them feel. And these are questions that I feel like are a lot of questions that parents are going to be asking their children and how they really feel. So let's dive right into it. So let's start with the mother, Mrs. Bob. So can you tell me what your background is that you have with motorcycles?
Well, I really don't have any background per se with motorcycles. I do have a lot of medical background in emergency, trauma, and operating room. So I've seen a lot of the results of what happens with motorcycles. I've seen a lot of death. And I've seen a lot of result of crashes, seen people live, I've seen people die, and I've seen just results of people losing limbs and things like that.
And Senior Bob, would you be able to answer that same question for me?
I have no background in motorcycles whatsoever. I rode a motorcycle one time when I was like 9 years old. It was a Harley-Davidson 50, I think is what it was. And haven't been on one since.
I didn't know they had motorcycles back in the dinosaur age, especially from Harley.
This conversation can end real quick with me killing you.
And so because of your backgrounds, and they differ so differently, what is your view on motorcycles and, so to speak, even before I started writing?
I don't really have a view on motorcycles or motorcyclists, other than there are some very savvy motorcyclists out there, some that obey the rules, obey the laws. They're very good at what they do. And there are some very stupid ones out there. They go out there and they zigzag in between motorists and they act stupid. So I don't know. I mean, it's kind of 50-50. I don't really have a view. I don't really have a view on them. I know everybody has their own reasons for riding motorcycles. Some of it's fun and leisure. Some of it's just getting from place to place. So I don't really have a view on motorcyclists per se. I know a lot of it's just from getting place to place, and I don't know.
Motorcyclists are like car drivers. I mean, there's great ones and there's bad ones. You know, it's the bell curve, you know. We lived for quite a long time in the epicenter of motorcycles in motorcycles in Daytona Beach, and there was a lot of very, like she said, a lot of conscientious ones and a lot of punks. You know.
And so with me, I've noticed that a lot of it really comes down to there's not a lot of motorcyclists on the roadways. And so because of this, when they're good, most of the times you don't notice them because they kind of blend in. They're fitting in along with everyone else. They're not going to stick out to you. But everyone notices the assholes out there because then they're sticking out. There's
son cussing like that. Can't believe that.
It's from the nursing background from my mother. Because of that, they stick out more like a sore thumb in the group. So all of the really punk riders out there, they stick out like a sore thumb. And thus that brings more attention to you and I feel like a lot to general people in the public, that motorcyclists are kind of stupid or dumb riders.
But you know, it'd be interesting. It'd be a great research study one of these days to do a case study or some sort of study on the people that have died in motorcycle accidents and how many of them was their fault or was the result of their death due to a car driver and something out of their control.
So there are actually studies like that out there. And I don't know the exact numbers, but I think it is about 80% is because of the motorcyclist's own fault, but not in the sense of out of all motorcycle crashes, it is a one person accident. thus being the motorcyclist's fault, him doing something out of, or their fault, them out of their own things. It's not where a car pulls out in front of them or something, or a car rear ends them or something like that. I feel like that 20% though is brought more into the light because it's someone else's fault and they want to find someone else to put the blame on. But out of all motorcycle crashes, about 80% of it, I believe, is actually directly from the motorcyclists doing something and it is their fault. And that could be as simple as they were leaving a gas station and they pulled out and it just fell over, and that's considered a motorcycle accident. Or it could be all the way up to they're going way too fast on a curvy road. But also, that being said, more accidents that are serious do end up happening with another vehicle, which is also another reason why I believe they really come to light, because those really bad accidents are the ones that do end up happening with another vehicle.
Is it the majority of accidents are driver error or somebody else's error?
The majority of motorcycle accidents are actually are from the motorcyclist, but only the motorcyclists. There's no other person involved. So
so most crashes are single person, nobody else around. They didn't get in a wreck with anybody
correct.
else. Okay, gotcha. So you should find out what percentage of motorcycle accidents are due to the carelessness of a car driver. Are those stats out there?
Those stats are out there. I just don't have them right off the top of my head. But
I'm very disappointed in our son for not having this information available for this interview.
Now that we've talked about how you view motorcyclists and how they are on the road and your backgrounds, how do you feel about me riding right now?
I hate it. I'm going to be honest with you. I still hate it. I've seen kids. I've seen adults. I've seen all kinds of young women, young men, old alike. I've seen them all come in through the emergency department. I've seen them come into the OR just completely messed up, and they don't leave the same. I've seen them come in without limbs. I've seen them come in completely where they had all their attire on. They have their thick pants on. They have their jackets. They have their helmets, and their skulls are crushed. And I don't mean to try to scare or intimidate, because I know how much riding means to you. And I try to support you because I know how much it means to you. But there is nothing that you can do that will change my fear for you riding. I know the precautions that you take, but it's not you, and it's not you that I fear. It's the other people out there that scare me. There are just things out there that you cannot control. There's things that happen. It just happens. You can't control those things. You can take every course and know every situation, how to handle it, but that doesn't mean that you're going to handle it that way. And I have seen people with helmets die of head injuries. I've just seen people not come out despite wearing all the proper protective gear. And then on the other hand, I've seen idiots, jacked high on cocaine with 6-year-olds on the back of their bike, and they live, and their 6-year-old dies. Now you tell me that's right. And it's just not. And those are the idiots that I just don't understand.
That's what we fear. Not you, them. I, on the other hand, I have a lot of faith in the way that you drive. I've seen you grow through this, and you've taken all the precaution. You're a student of the art of motorcycle riding. But again, all of that is for nothing if some jerk is not paying attention and gets in your way when you're going down the road at 70 miles an hour. Mm-hmm. And it's AMF.
So to try changing the spirit a little bit to help us out here.
Sorry.
No, it's fine. This is what this is for. I kind of have a follow-up statement for what you said. You said I am a student of the art of motorcycle riding. And something that you have always told me, and it even carried through my musical background, is that the best way for a student to grow is to teach. And so the best way to learn is by teaching. That's what I really mean to say.
This is true.
Yeah. Because you realize your own mistakes. You realize when you're teaching something, you get a better grasp on everything as it is. And so that's kind of another reason why I wanted to help start this channel, is so that way.
Well, if you want to demonstrate proficiency, you have to do it by teaching it to somebody else.
Yes. And so because that helps highlight, because if you feel like you're able to teach something, you're bringing out and you're focusing on all the certain things that you want to teach, thus making you more aware of everything that you're doing. And so because of this, I feel like it's personally helped me grow as a motorcycle rider, and knowing everything that has been happening and how I ride, and even understanding people and their psychology because of this. So we kind of already went over one of the questions earlier, and that was going to be, how is me taking more rider courses, practice all of my emergency maneuvering and controlled scenarios to where I feel more comfortable and I know how I'm going to react when those emergency maneuvers have to be put in place. And even me studying human psychology and driver psychology and statistics and stuff like that, how has that helped you? But you've said like nothing really does help you, just because of personally how you think and the things that you've seen.
Well, I would say it has certainly increased the odds for you compared to if you didn't do any of that. If you were just a novice rider, not even novice, but I just took the class. Right. Didn't take you. Yeah. You took the class
and that's it.
And you bop around, and you have a far greater knowledge base than most people. So statistically, you're in far better shape than the average rider. We both agree on that, but there are intangibles out there that you cannot control that will haunt her to the point of tears. Me, not so much. I mean, well, I don't mean that way. Yeah, I mean, actually, if you die, whatever. All right. Right. I mean, you have increased your odds of surviving, but you hit a patch of black ice when you're not suspecting it.
Yeah.
And if a drunk guy in a pickup truck pulls out in front of you when you just happen to be looking over to your left and he's coming on your right, and it's curtains.
Yeah. You having had those classes, it certainly puts my mind a little bit more at ease, knowing that you have a better chance. You might know how to handle those situations a little bit better, how to maneuver the bike better, those sorts of things. But again, nothing is going to ever make me feel at ease knowing, hey, you're taking a trip, or you're going cross country, or you're going to be on that bike for 12 hours, or no, nothing.
Mm-hmm. That's the things that concern me the most, are the long distance rides, because you're dealing with driver fatigue. you know, and that desire to get from point A to point B as quickly as possible. I will say in your defense that you're pretty good about taking breaks and stuff like that. But I remember the last trip you took, you were coming back from Florida and you literally had to, after 2 hours of driving, you had to stop and get a hotel room because you didn't gauge your fatigue factor properly until it was after you had already left. And like, kudos to you for recognizing that and all that.
Another really important thing to bring up is how to tell your parents that you're wanting to start writing. So can we talk about how I told you that I started writing?
Well, believe it or not, I actually knew you were writing before you actually even told me. And I think it was more just like an intuition more than anything. You were kind of just talking about it. You were just talking about motorcycles and things like that.
I think I brought up that I was interested in taking the writer course and I'll see it from there type of thing.
Probably. But I don't know. Somehow I just kind of knew that you already were. And I don't know if it's just kind of our bond that we share, but I just kept losing sleep and gnawing feeling inside of me. I kept worrying about you and things like that. So he's riding. He's already got a motorcycle. I just kind of knew it. And then just one day you just kind of called me and said, Mom, I bought a motorcycle. And I think I had actually called your sister and said, I think he's buying a motorcycle. You need to call him and convince him not to do this.
You realize it was our fault when we bought you that orange scooter.
I know.
That you rode every day to school and back when your senior year in high school, right?
Yep.
But that was fun.
It was fun. It was a cheap, easy way to get around at the time. But I remember very specifically because I was nervous as hell to tell you guys, but I kind of sucked it up. We came up to visit you guys and it was in the summer, spring time area. I had already been writing for a couple months at the time. And we went out to a brewery, we were talking, and then I told Dad and he was just like, yeah, tell her she needs to know. And cause he had no idea and he had no idea you even had a gut feeling about it. And so then I finally told you and you're just like, I knew it.
So out of curiosity, is this a big deal?
For a lot of parents?
For a lot of young writers? Too.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah. A lot of kids, like, I mean, hell, even me, I didn't know how to tell you guys. I was figuring out how to tell it. And I kept running through plans and ideas of how to tell you guys. And I just said,
I was more concerned you were doing drugs. Not really.
Listen here.
I would be more concerned about that than you riding a motorcycle. Because you've always been a pretty responsible kid. Did I just say that out loud?
Yeah, I'm not my sister for sure.
Correct.
How would you have preferred me to tell you? Is there a specific way that, like, I know you don't like it, but if no matter what, like, I was going to keep doing it, which I still am, obviously, but how would you have preferred me to tell you that I was going to be writing?
Just be open and honest, I would have rather than waited a couple of months, if already doing it, just, when, before buying the bike, just say, hey, I am going to buy you were already an adult. I mean, you had every right to do it, despite my apprehensions. I'm buying a bike. I'm going to do this. These are my plans. I will be taking these courses and, this is what I'm going to do. I'd appreciate your support. But, there's nothing that I could have done to stop you as an adult. Like I said, I will continue to support you to the best of my ability. I love you. That's my job as a mother, to support you. And I will continue to support you. I find it very difficult to watch your videos and watch you ride, but I support you because I know it's your passion. You know, have done it any different way. I mean, you did it the best way that you thought possible. So I don't know what other way you could have done it other than hide it from me. And if you had done that, then you probably wouldn't be living right now.
So I guess my thought process was that I didn't want to necessarily worry you in the beginning when, like, how driving a car, the first couple months and the first year is the most dangerous time for a new rider driver, because they're not fully thinking, they don't have all the experiences yet at that time. They're still mainly focusing on the functioning, not necessarily the driving. You know what I mean?
Okay, well, wouldn't, as a parent, if that's the most dangerous time, shouldn't then that be an opportune time for me to know about that, if that's the most dangerous time for you?
You know, but it's the why do we lie factor, to protect the people we love.
Okay, but if you're most likely to be injured, I want to know about that. Because
I agree.
Because you didn't live with me. You didn't even live in the same town as me. So if you're injured and you're laying in an emergency department, how am I going to know?
No, I agree. That's why I eventually told you, because I had those thought processes.
Okay.
And so
well, I want to know about it.
Yeah.
You should probably stop this question. You're burying yourself.
I would say if you would have done it differently, be upfront before you buy the bike.
Yeah.
That's how I would be. That's how I would have done it differently.
Meanwhile, Dad is over there just like, I don't care.
No, that's not true at all. I don't have the experiences that she has seeing the bad side of motorcycle riding. Most of the people that I know that own motorcycles, and it wasn't many, were really good at it. Never been in a wreck or anything like that. So I didn't have those fears about. So I would have been okay with it. I just would have said, great, be careful. You know, use your brain. Don't drink and drive.
Yep.
Don't do motorcycle tricks, but just don't doing stupid stuff. You know, that's what I would have said. Yeah, just be upfront and say, hey, I want to learn how to ride a motorcycle. I would have said, great. Hope you can afford it. Please be careful. Take some classes. Read up on it. And you're doing all those things.
Mm-hmm. So what are some things that you do personally to try helping you be at peace as much as possible? I know you said you'd never be fully at peace with me riding because of the factors, but what are things that you do to try helping ease yourself? Like, it could be as simple as, like you said, you try not to watch my videos because even though you want to support me, it's just you don't want to put yourself in a place where you're making yourself feel uncomfortable.
See, I'm the opposite. I do watch your stuff.
Thank you. You should too.
I struggle through some of the episodes, but like I said, are a student of motorcycles, and you're doing all the right things to become a better driver and more conscientious and all that stuff. So I feel a little bit more at ease because you were doing all these things. I watch them. Some of them are pretty good, and some of them are whatever. It's okay. It's all right. I mean, but it's about you, and you're digging deep into things and talk about driver safety, which is what we both worry about the most.
I watch your videos that you do from the desk and things like that. Well, when you talk about things, and it helps me understand where you're coming from and those sorts of things. I can't watch the videos when you're on the bike. That's when I get anxiety.
Yeah.
But your things like that, I look at your website, your Fat Bob, your merchandise.
Go check it out.
Shameless plug.
And things like that. I like to support you in all your endeavors. I actually did try to get on your bike, or I got on your bike one time for a quarter of a mile.
From the airport to the hotel.
And it scared the hell out of me. But I tried. Okay, I tried. But I'm here for you. I really am. I know that if anything were to happen to you while you're on your bike, it would be something that you did that you loved and you're very passionate about. And as much as it would hurt me, I know that that is something that you're very passionate about. But it's just something that I have a hard time in here getting over. But I do what I can to support you and know that you love doing it. But from here up, I love to watch you, seeing you ride and things like that. I just have a hard time.
Essentially, what this comes down to is that it's your ego is more important than your mother's well-being.
Damn straight. How you said you got on the bike, does the type of bike that I have actually make you feel more comfortable? Does that help you at all?
As opposed to being, and I don't know what kind of bikes they are, but
on a sport bike, to say
like
the least.
I only know them as crotch rockets.
Yeah.
If you had that, I wouldn't get any sleep at all.
No. So yes, it does help.
So yeah, I guess so. Because if you drove around on one of those, because I knew you would be, if you were on one of those, you would probably be racing and things like that. But I know you better than that. I don't think that's in your personality to be riding like. I really wish you hadn't.
But you've ridden those before, right?
Yeah, I've ridden them before.
Yeah, right.
And it's those type of videos that I can't watch. I have tried, like where you review other types of bikes and things like that, and the accelerations and the maneuvers and things like that. And I tried watching those, and that's where I had a hard time. So seeing you on sport type bikes, if you had one of those, I certainly wouldn't be able to tolerate that.
Another thing that parents kind of think about as well is reflecting on their child's driving record and how they actually drive because they're with them. And when they're driving, they're teaching them how to drive. How has my driving habits helped you or scared you in how I ride my motorcycling?
Well, I don't know. How is your driving record?
But I mean, like when I was with you and I drive you to and from the airport and stuff like that. And like, you see how I drive.
Yeah. I mean, you seem to drive very safe. I don't know of any driving violations that you have. You seem to drive very safely. So, I mean, it certainly helps.
Has your motorcycle experiences made you a better driver overall? I would say sure. I mean,
from when I started riding, how was my driving habits like, and how did they make you feel? Knowing, like, did my driving habits have an impact on how it made you feel when I started riding? Did you feel like I was a safe driver to begin with, and that you felt like he has a good understanding of the road, so it's going to kind of carry over?
Yeah, I would say so. And I just think you have become far more conscious of everything that you do because you become an accomplished motorcyclist. So yeah, and does that translate over to car driving and all that stuff? Sure. And does it show? I think so.
Okay. Yeah. So as another translation, so for parents that are having this question brought up to them, maybe a good thing to think about is looking at your child's driving history. A good thing for parents to do is kind of evaluate their child's driving habits and kind of assess like how that's going to make them feel. And if you feel like they are a good driver, that should also help them feel like they're going to be a better rider also, because it's going to kind of correlate. It's going to translate their understanding the road and focusing on the fact that they themselves are good. So they should try focusing on that to help them. So other than the obvious answer, what is your biggest worry about me riding?
The biggest worry is somebody else, not you, in my opinion. I really am not worried about you unless you get in some drunken rage one of these days and you get in a fight or something happens and you get out on the road in the wrong emotional state of mind. Other than that is things that are out of your control, environmental conditions, ice on the road because you live up north now, and
that's why I'm not riding right now.
Right. And just other people. That's, the biggest fear is getting a phone call that your son's been in a motorcycle accident. And my first reaction would be, well, I doubt if it was his fault. So something else happened, either in a road condition or a person not paying attention on the road.
Somebody else. I have to agree.
And so now this is where I'm going to leave it open to you guys really big this time. What is some advice to other parents you would give to help them feel better about their children wanting to learn to ride?
Advice to parents: if you find out that your child wants to get involved with motorcycles.
Way to make it sound like it's a drug. If my child wants to get involved with motor...
one of them would be, if this is something they want to do, then this is something that they should pay for themselves, okay, which you have. We haven't put a penny into this that I can think of.
Nope.
And insist that they take a motorcycle safety course, make sure that they get the proper gear, safety gear, get a good functioning motorcycle, make sure that they understand motorcycle maintenance, make sure that they do all the things that they can to keep themselves safe, and minimize the opportunities to get into an accident.
Mm-hmm. As a statement that you made, and I feel like it's kind of really important to state, is that motorcycle safety gear is not the end all be all. The important thing about it actually is that what it's really doing, it's not protecting you. It's helping mitigate your potential injuries. And so just like a seatbelt, it will help you live, but it's not 100% going to help keep you alive. And so that's where I think a lot of mindsets need to be aware of when talking about wearing the safety gear and knowing when you're going to be getting into riding. You're not you're not putting on 50 pounds of bubble wrap around you and putting reflectors all over me, as much as I know you'd love to do that to me. What you're doing is you are just helping mitigate as much injuries as possible. You're taking an injury that would be life-threatening and bringing it down to something to where you're still able to live.
Hopefully.
Yes. You are taking an injury that would have cost you a limb to come off and be severed forever to be able to be saved, to have been protected.
Hopefully.
Yes. And that's where that is. It's mitigation. You're hoping, you're wearing these things so that way you are trying to lower the severity of injury. Something really important to just bring up that you mentioned. Well, that's all I have. I want to say thank you guys, for being here.
You're welcome.
Mm-hmm. I know it's hard, but I really do appreciate it. So that's it for today's video. If you liked it, make sure you go ahead and give it a thumbs up button. If you feel like this could be useful to anyone, make sure you go ahead and share that with them. That's what this video is here for. I really hope this gets shared out a lot with a lot of people. Again, thank you so much for being here, you guys. It really was a lot of fun and kind of insightful, actually, even for me. Make sure you go ahead and hit that subscribe button if you aren't already, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.